So I think we all remember when the San Antonio Spurs used to run the NBA. They were a borderline dynasty team with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and others. For being honest, ever since that Kawhi Leonard trade and he made like that big scene and left San Antonio, they simply have not been the same. They've consistently been a fringe playoff team, and this season it doesn't even look like they're going to make the play-in tournament. For the first time in a really long time, they're going to be a team that's contending for one of the top picks in the NBA draft. That has led me to make this video where I'm just going to be discussing how I think the San Antonio Spurs could possibly get back to being an NBA dynasty like they were before, and just getting back to being good in general. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go over 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. To be honest, the best way the Spurs can get back to being a good team and being back to their dynasty roots is to get a superstar level player. And in my opinion, although guys like DeJounte Murray and Keldon Johnson are really good young players, I honestly just don't see either of them becoming superstars. Probably all-stars. We just saw DeJounte Murray make the all-star team, but not superstars. And the best way to get a future young superstar is not by trade, but it is by the NBA draft. And for the first time in a long time, the Spurs are probably going to have a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. At the making of this video, they're currently the 12th seed in the Western Conference. They have the 7th worst record in the league, and I think they're just going to keep going downhill from there, and I think other teams might like improve and stuff. But basically, they have the 7th worst record in the league, meaning they're probably going to get around like a top 5 pick and at worst a top 10 pick. And with this new NBA format, it's actually possible that they could even like get a really high pick in this year's draft. Like maybe they get lucky. But regardless, this is a draft class with multiple guys who I think can become all-stars and guys who become superstars. That's at least what the reports say. I'm not gonna act like I know every single prospect, but according to the reports, this is supposed to be a really strong draft class. Maybe not as strong as last year's class, but just strong in general. And if the Spurs could get a guy who could be really good and be a future superstar, future cornerstone player for his team, that would easily make them go back to their dynasty roots, because you can't be a dynasty unless you have a superstar player. They need their new Tim Duncan or Kawhi Leonard to be back on this team, and I don't think they have that player on their roster right now. I'm not saying their young talent is trash, they just don't have like a generational talent. But if I'm being honest, I honestly have a lot of faith in the Spurs organization when it comes to drafting, because they arguably run their organization better than any other organization in the league. I don't think they're gonna mess up their pick. I think they're gonna choose the best player that they can possibly take. The prospects they might take are guys like Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, and maybe even Chet Hologram. But regardless, they're going to get the best guy. I'm confident in it. It's literally the Spurs. But this year's upcoming draft is going to be really important to like further improve their team and show whether or not they're going to be a dynasty in the upcoming seasons or not. Next thing the Spurs need to do to try and get back to like their dynasty roots is to just flat out develop the young talent they have right now. Because if we're being honest, the Spurs definitely have one of the most underrated young cores in the league. I'm not gonna say they're on the level of guys of teams like the Grizzlies, Cavaliers, or Hawks, because their young players aren't even at their best yet. Whereas the other teams, like, they're able to win games and stuff, and their young players are already like all-stars and stuff like that. But when you just look at the raw talent on this team, they definitely can be a really strong team going forward with that said group of players. They just have to develop them properly. And to be honest, I just like the drafted, I have a lot of confidence in the Spurs to develop their young players to be as good as they can, because they have developed a lot of players in the past really well. For example, guys like Kawhi Leonard, DeJounte Murray, as well as guys like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, who were not lottery picks or anything close to that. If I didn't have any like confidence in the Spurs to develop players right, then I literally can't have any confidence in any other team, because the Spurs are just elite when it comes to that. The young players they have to develop are guys like DeJounte Murray. He's still young, but to be honest, I don't think DeJounte Murray is going to get way better than he has this season. He's been absolutely amazing, a triple-double threat. He's been an all-star, top 10 point guard in the league. I think as the years goes on, he's just going to be a guy who's right outside of that top 5 point guard in the league list, which definitely is still a great player. And I think he's their point guard going forward. The next guy they got to develop for sure is Keldon Johnson, who at the current moment is the guy who I think has the most potential to become a superstar on this team. I thought he would play better this season. I thought he'd be a 20-point per game scorer, but I'm not going to act like he's been trash or anything like that, because he still averages 16.6 rebounds, 46% from the field, and an impressive 41% from 3. He's been great. And although he's not the most natural guy when it comes to creating his own shot, he's not going to break you down off the dribble and do a step back 3, but he just plays in the flow of the offense, and he's one of the best rim attackers in the league. Also just a really good 3-point shooter, better than I thought he would be at this stage in his career. Definitely can be an all-star level player. I would be surprised if he doesn't become an all-star one day. I just don't know if he's going to reach that superstar level, but his handle is not trash or anything. Just has to probably work more on his shot creation ability, but definitely a really good player. Definitely one of the most underrated young players in the league. This guy's crazy strong, has crazy athleticism, really good rebound in first position, really good player. Devin Vassell also has to be one of the most underrated players in his draft class. He's been a really good 3-and-D player so far in his career, which is when the Spurs drafted him, that's exactly what they thought he was going to be. He's actually been averaging 12 points this year on okay efficiency, which is really impressive if you ask me. It's only a second season. He's not a guy who even gets the ball crazy, and he's still been able to score a decent amount of points on solid efficiency. We've seen a lot of improvements in his game from his rookie season. He looks way more comfortable, especially as of late. And I don't think he's going to be an all-star, but I think he could be a really good 3-and-D player. And I think the Spurs will capitalize on that. Every team needs a 3-and-D player nowadays, and he can fit that role perfectly. When it comes to Lonnie Walker, I don't know about him. It's not like he's a bad player or anything, but to be honest, he just keeps getting older, so I don't know whether or not he's going to really reach that all-star level. Maybe he could be like Malik Monk and improve, but he definitely looks like a guy who could be an all-star with his athleticism, his ability to hit shots, his ability to handle the ball really well and stuff like that. He has really high scoring potential, and he's had a lot of big games where he gets hot, and he's the Spurs best player on certain nights. But to be honest, I don't really think he's gonna reach the all-star level, but he can be a really solid bench player. They also have Josh Primo, who's one of the most underrated rookies from this year's class. He hasn't really done that much this year, but he's a really small guard who has a really nice handle. He's supposed to be a good shooter, a solid passer, guy who can flat out score the ball and play make. He actually went to a high school near my area, so I kind of know of him. I don't know how great he's going to be, but he hasn't got a chance yet to show what he can do. He's young talent. They also have Romeo Langford. They got him at the trade deadline. He hasn't been amazing so far in the NBA, but he has shown potential to be at least a solid player in the NBA. Not going to say he's going to be a star, but I think he could be solid. Basically, the Spurs just need to capitalize on the young talent they have, and I think they have enough talent to create a really solid supporting cast around whoever their franchise cornerstone guys becomes. I don't know if that's DeJounte Murray. We're going to have to see. But yeah. The third thing the Spurs need if they want to get back to their dynasty ways is to keep Greg Popovich going forward, period. I know that's not an easy task. This guy is almost 80 years old. He's been coaching before I was born, and he's probably gonna ready to retire, especially on a team that's so young and the team that's just flat out not good right now. But in my opinion, Greg Popovich is the best coach in NBA history, and at worst, he's a top 3 coach in NBA history. So just having him there, show these young guys how to play and stuff like that, definitely would be a huge boost to your roster, because he's just a great coach. Everyone knows that. If this team gets even solid or good, having Greg Popovich as the coach will turn them to a championship contender, whereas with a different coach that might not be the case. But to be honest, I don't think Greg Popovich is staying that much longer. I think he'll probably announce his final season sometime soon. But if they could get him to stay, that would definitely help the dynasty to continue, because he's been a really important part of it. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Spurs will get back to their dynasty ways. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go to 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video, as I do respond to all my comments. And play that intro.